It starts with an L.
Did I do that?
I've had it for days.
Well, thank you very much for sitting with us today.
Oh, you're welcome.
It's an honor to sit with the legend. Things are going great already.
Yeah.
I've already, the crowd's going to have some questions as well.
Don't drink my Dr. Pepper.
That's right.
That's what keeps me signing. It's autograph juice.
We'll be auctioning off the bottle later. You have your own Cassandra DNA.
I'll spit in it. Oh no, that would be good.
More DNA.
Okay.
So one thing I've always wondered is how the character of Elvira actually started. Like, can you take us through the history of like how this was created?
Yes, well, it's kind of I'll give you the Reader's Digest version. I was in Los Angeles trying to get acting work. I was in a group called the Groundlings, which is a comedy improv group that you may have heard of. 1,000,001 actors have come out of that. Most recently, well, Will Ferrell, that wasn't that recently, but Melissa McCarthy, and you name it, everybody. Anyway, I heard from a friend of mine about a horror hosting job, and I went on auditions every day. I unfortunately was on my honeymoon that day that she called me, and I said, I'm not leaving my honeymoon to come in for an audition, that I won't get. And a couple weeks passed, I came back to LA, and she called me frantically and said, they still haven't found anybody, you have to go in there. So I went in, I auditioned, I kind of did an improv thing, and I got the part. And they said, well, now you have to come up with a look, and I'm like, oh, okay. And of course, it had to be spooky. And I was very thrilled about the job because I was way into horror since I've been a little kid, so it wasn't like, oh, this is just another job. It was kind of like, oh my God, this is awesome. But it only paid like $350 a week or something before taxes, so it wasn't like, oh yeah, I'm rich, a TV show. No, it was not like that. It was local TV, it was late night, you weren't making any money. So anyway, but I was happy to be working, and I only had to work one day a week, and then I had the other days to go look for other real, legitimate work. And a friend of mine drew a picture of what he thought. We talked a lot about what the character should be, and we decided it should be sexy, and it should be funny. Well, the director wanted it to be funny, and he had seen me at the Groundlings, so he was kind of partial to this Valley Girl character I was doing at the time. That was when Moon Zappa had her song out, from Valley Girl, Frank Zappa. And so he wanted that character with a sexy, spooky look. And so we go, whatever you want, you're paying us. So just came up with that and started doing it. And I really didn't know if it was going to last a week or a month or 36 years. It lasted 36.
That's
So
awesome.
far. Yeah.
What made you a horror fan? What got you into horror?
Oh, well, this was very specific. When I was about 7 or 8 years old, my cousin took me to the cheap theater downtown in Colorado Springs to see A House on Haunted Hills with Vincent Price, and that had such a freaking amazing. It just made, I don't know, you know how you see something, you obviously do, you see something and it just sort of changes your life. Well, that's how it was for me. And I had like a love-hate relationship with Vincent because I loved him, I was dying to see him, but I had nightmares every night that he was in my grandma's house chasing me with a giant butcher knife. But so I was mesmerized by him though, and when all the other movies came along, they were kind of that Roger Corman Poe era. They were making The Raven and all these different Poe movies, and Vincent, when later we became friends and I talked to him, he said those were definitely Poe movies, Elvira. Anyway, whenever one came out, I had to be there. I had to see it, even though I would have nightmares for the next month. I had to do it secretly because my parents were tired of me getting up in the middle of the night and getting in bed with them. So my cousin kept taking me. We'd say we were going somewhere else. And I just got hooked on horror movies, and pretty soon, instead of, while the other little girls were asking for Barbies for Christmas, I was asking for these model kits that I saw in in like Famous Monsters of Filmland magazine that were, kits that you paint of Dracula and the Mummy and werewolf and all of that. So started me off on that thing, and look how I ended up.
Do you have a favorite monster?
Favorite monster? I'm a little partial to the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I love that movie. There's something about it. And we actually, when Elvira, Mistress of the Dark premiered in New York, I came on a gondola across this lake in Central Park, and they had a guy that played the creature of from the Black Lagoon, dressed in that costume under the water, who came up and tried to grab me out of the gondola and then went back down. I mean, it was so awesome. It was like my dream come true.
I assume you knew that was going to happen.
I did know it was going to happen. I was like, oh, yeah. That would not have been good if I didn't know. No, and the whole lake was covered in fog and everything, and he came up out of it. It was awesome. So, yeah, thank God I knew it was going to happen. I would have been man overboard.
Yeah. So everyone obviously knows you as Elvira, but you've done a lot of work as yourself. I mean, well, other characters. Yeah. So maybe talk a little bit about, like, you were in Pee-wee's Big Adventure. Did you know Paul from the Groundlings? Or,
oh yeah, Paul and I worked in the Groundlings together since the mid-'70s, and we still, it's like, people that you go to high school with, you stay friends for the rest of your life, and we see each other, we live nearby each other and see each other all the time. So I just got him into going to conventions. I've been trying to tell him to go do conventions for the last 10 years, and finally, he's finally doing it. But yeah, we were in there with Phil Hartman, Paul Rubens, and Edie McClurg, who was in my movie. She played Chastity Pariah. John Paragon, who was my writing partner for 21 years and wrote Mistress of the Dark with me. So a lot of great people came out of, even back then. It was crazy. Lorraine Newman was in there, who of course went on to do Saturday Night Live. And yeah, it was awesome. I've known Paul for, and it's so funny, he calls me Elvira and I call him Pee-wee. It's so weird. I never call him Paul.
I do have to admit, when I answered the question, I felt weird calling him Paul as well.
Yeah, I know. No, it's to me and him, it's Pee-wee and Elvira, and we're the only people that can kind of get away with calling each other that on a permanent basis. We are in a very exclusive club. I was just talking about it. It's like there's not that many people who own their character, do the same character all the time. I mean, maybe. We could maybe let Alice Cooper or Gene Simmons in, I don't know, maybe RuPaul, I don't know, but very few people who do that, so.
I would pay any amount of money to see a Pee-wee Elvira movie.
I don't think that'll ever happen, but it's just like, I don't know, but thank you, I wish.
I know we are kind of limited time-wise.
No, we are. No, I'm not going to. And then I actually, because of Pee-wee again, he made that Netflix movie recently. I don't know if any of you guys saw it, but I loved it. I thought it was adorable. And then I started thinking, maybe I could pull another one out of me. I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah.
I actually came up with a story. I wrote it, and I'm going to be pitching it within the next few months. So we'll see. It kind of also picks up where the last one left off.
Yeah.
So.
Wait, you were next?
So you're going to keep us waiting, I'm guessing, huh?
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Thank you.
They have so much awesome digital stuff they can do on film now, like Photoshop every single frame. This is what he did. Really, he brought me and he goes, they Photoshopped every single frame. It cost like $1 billion, but not really $1 billion, but almost. And if they can do that for Paul, they can do that for me.
You don't need it.
No, yeah, you had your hand up before.
Alright, I'm a big car guy. I know you did an episode with Kind of Cars.
Yeah,
I loved it.
thank you.
If I remember it, what kind of car did you get fixed up?
My car is the original car from the movie. It was so funny. I had the name Macabmobile that I'd always talked about on my TV show. I'd always say at the end, I go, jump in the old Macabmobile and peel on out of here. And then when the movie came up, I said, we've got to find a car that is the Macabmobile. What would Elvira drive, And they had 1,000,001 suggestions, like a hearse and this and that, but I thought, it's so cliche. So one day I was walking down Melrose Avenue in LA, and I saw this 59 T-Bird parked, convertible T-Bird parked by the side of the road. And I go, that is what Elvira would drive, that is it. So we went to buy one, and we found out they were super, super expensive. I said, we can't afford that. So they found a hard top, they chainsawed the roof off, and we painted it. It didn't work, it didn't drive. Every shot you see of me driving is being towed on a flatbed. There's one scene where I kind of come into town that they like just gave it a big push and it rolled. So it was a piece of junk, but it did the trick. And later, when the movie was over, they said, "Do you want to buy it?" We were like, "No, why do we want this piece of non-working crap sitting in my driveway?" You know. So 10 years later, this very famous rock and roll photographer, Lynn Goldsmith, called me up out of the blue and said, "I bought your car from the movie set, and I fixed it up, and it drives, and I'm moving to New York. I don't need a car anymore. Would you like to buy it?" I bought it, just like that, boom. Had it fixed up by George Barris, the big car guy that did the Munsters, Mobile, the Beverly Hillbillies, the Batman car. So he fixed it up for me. A friend designed all the chrome, spider web, and all the different little things all over the car. And I had the longest answers. It'll take a half an hour. And anyway, the car, and then the car got, it was in working order and everything, but it got pretty funky. It has no top, so if it sits outside, it like rains in it and everything. And then Counting Cars called me to be on there. I met them at Viva Las Vegas in Las Vegas. I don't know if you guys know about this convention, but it's awesome. And Counting Cars, the production was there. They asked if I wanted to be on it. Danny Coker, who is the most awesome guy. I love him. And he's just the nicest person. And then they asked me to be on it, and I went on it, and they fixed my car up. They did $35,000 worth of work. That was my
wow.
my pay for doing the show. So yeah, now it's like super primo, and it's sitting on the corner of Hollywood and Highland, right next door to the Gromas Chinese Theater in Hollywood, in a store I have there called Sweet, and they have my original couch in the car, and I sell all my wares there.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, wait, was that a long answer? Well, there is a snore.
Can you please talk about the comic book series that's starting from Dynamite?
Yes, thank you for asking. Yeah, I have a new comic book series, Dynamite, from Dynamite Comics, which I did not think I was going to get another one. I mean, comic book series they're not that...
They're a fickle bitch.
Yeah, exactly, they are. And then it's not like you rake in the dough when you have a series anymore, Not like you're with, Marvel Comics and you make a movie out of it or something. But they're doing an awesome job. I don't know if you guys have seen it. If you go to elvira.com and you go check out what's happening now, you can see the various covers that they're coming up with. And
9 covers.
9 covers. They are all by different artists. They look awesome. One's a photograph. But they're doing a great job. They got a really great writer. I auditioned a bunch of writers, and they got a great writer, and they're super funny and cute. So I hope you guys enjoy them. They're going to be out soon, like next week or something. Oh, I love that song.
How is it?
So
Is it
anyway,
on,
look for them.
Is it a limited or ongoing?
It is. It's going to depend. It's really going to depend how they go. See how far they go.
And it's the same company that publishes Vampirella, so you guys could have a team up.
It is. Yeah. Nobody actually thought about that. Yeah. So yeah, it's going to be awesome. Just like I said, go to elvira.com. It has a lot more info about where and when you get it and all that.
Any other questions?